Okay, right. Welcome, Alicia.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
Great. So yeah, I'm Alicia. I work in the regional corporate team at Save the Children. So I support businesses and also sometimes individuals who want to fundraise for Save the Children and yeah, make the world better for children around the world. So yeah, thank you so much to Global PA and PA Life for all their hard work so far in organising this challenge. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's watching. So yeah, I'm going to tell you a bit about Yemen, the situation there, and then I'll go on to tell you about you know, how your support can help. So Yemen is the largest humanitarian crisis in the world, which means that it has the highest number of people who need humanitarian assistance. So over 24 million people, or 80% of the total population, depend on humanitarian assistance to survive. So there's been 6 years of conflict and severe economic crisis, which has been coupled with the recent devastation of coronavirus, which has deprived millions of children food, healthcare, education, and protection. And it's driven the country to the brink of famine. So across Yemen, children are facing the triple threat of hunger, disease, and also violence. So Save the Children is one of the largest independent NGOs in Yemen. And since the beginning of the crisis, we've reached more than 5 million children with crucial support. So we've been supporting health facilities, providing nutrition services, child protection services, mental health and psychological support, and education services. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background as to how the war began, tell you a little bit about the situation today, and then I'll show you a few children who we've helped and tell you about their stories. So the roots lie in the Arab Spring. Millions of pro-democracy protesters took to the streets in a bid to force the President Saleh to end his 33-year rule. So this was in 2011. So he responded with economic concessions, but he refused to resign. Then in 2012, President Saleh stepped down and handed over his power to Deputy Hadi. The political transition was supposed to bring stability to Yemen, which was already one of the Middle East's poorest nations. But Hadi struggled to deal with various problems, including militant attacks, corruption, food insecurity, and the continuing loyalty of military officers to Saleh. So fighting began in 2014 when the Houthi rebel movement took advantage of the new president's weakness and seized control of the northern Sada province and the neighbouring areas. And then the Houthis went to take on the capital Sana'a and forced Hadi to exile abroad. The conflict then escalated in 2015 when Saudi Arabia and 8 other mostly Sunni Arab states, which were backed by the US, the UK and France, began airstrikes against the Houthis with the declared aim of restoring Mr. Hadi's government. So Yemen is a perfect storm of humanitarian protection and economic crises, which are all fueling each other. So as in any war, you know, it's the civilians that get caught up in this, and schools and hospitals have been caught in the crossfire. And the economy has collapsed. So that means that food, fuel and water are beyond reach for many families. So photographed here is the Kitaf Hospital, which is a Save the Children supported facility, which was hit by an airstrike. So since 17, the situation has been getting worse every year. So almost 1 in 4 of the war's casualties are children. Only half of the health facilities and 2/3 of schools are functioning. So this means that there are 2 million children that are out of school, and at times this number has been up to sort of 4 million when children have been out of school due to COVID as well. 5 million people are projected to be living just one step behind catastrophic levels of food insecurity. And this is only going to get worse in the coming months. And COVID-19 also remains a threat as well. So the impact of malnutrition, disrupted education, COVID-19, and also the lack of healthcare could have really devastating impacts for children as they grow up. So the country is on the brink of famine. Extreme hunger and disease have already claimed the lives of up to about 85,000 young children. And right now there are millions of children who don't know where their next meal is going to come from, or even if it's going to come at all. So there are about 2 million children that are suffering from malnutrition. The UN has warned that this could be the worst famine in 100 years, and there are 20 million who are at risk of extreme hunger if they don't get the urgent humanitarian aid that they need. So this has really become a man-made disaster on an unprecedented scale. So last week, we launched an appeal for the global hunger crisis, and Yemen is one of 13 countries that we're supporting there. So yeah, hunger and malnutrition. Our hunger and malnutrition work is a huge priority in Yemen. So I wanted to share a few stories of children that we're supporting in Yemen. So first of all is Haifa. So I'll just play this short video.
أقول لك خلق ولا بيشلعني ولا بحاجة. بعد 3 أشهر بدي بلا حمى طرش كان بس وسؤال طرش حمى يعمل به.
كان في السابق ما كانش بالشكل الموجود الآن أصبحت الحالات موجودة، حتى بعض الحالات يعني توفى بالمنازل مش قادرين يطلعوا إلى المستشفيات، والسبب يعني يقول لك أنا طالع المستشفى ما فيش عندي قوت اليوم الواحد عنده.
So just after a month after this was filmed, Haifa was weighing 3.5 kilograms and was smiling again. So her heart rate and breathing and appetite, as well as her weight and movement have all improved since her last visit to the health centre, and she's laughing and reacting with people. So she's made a huge improvement, but a child her age should weigh 6 kilograms. So the doctor has advised that she needs to stay in hospital, and then once she's put on a bit more weight, she'll then be referred to the health centre, which will be closer to her home, and she'll receive a high energy, nutritious peanut paste until she's fully recovered. And then I also wanted to share this video of Noor, who is 11 months old.
الآن أنا عمر بنتي 11 شهر. أول ما بدأت يعني دخلت المستشفى ده وأنا يائس. أنا يأست الناس كامل يعني يقولوا لي مش تعيش البنت. أنا قلت بنتي يعني أدخلش أخرج ثاني لا كبيرة يعني خلاص. يعني دخلت وهي عظمة وجلدة بس. والبنت قامة كان حتى الصوت حقه ما تسمعوش. لكن الآن تحسن كثيرا الحمد لله اللهم لك الحمد. تهاجي لي تلعب ماما تيكل الآن يعني أصبحت حياتنا في عائلة لما شفنا بنتنا يعني تحسنت ورجعوا.
So Noor and Haifa are just two of around about 2 million children who are in the same situation, and yeah, thankfully we were able to help Noor and Haifa and many other children that have been in similar situations. So I also wanted to share a story about Omar. So Omar is 8 years old, and he lives with his family in Taiz in Yemen. When the children's school was bombed, his father felt that it was no longer safe for the family, so they were forced to flee their home and move to a safer part of the city. So Omar and his 13-year-old brother, Mahmoud, were on their way home after shopping in the local market when an artillery shell hit their neighborhood. So Omar said, "I was on my way home and I wanted to go and find my brother when the artillery shell hit us. I was paralyzed for a moment. I was looking for my brother, and then someone on a motorbike picked me up and took me to the hospital." So the two boys were transferred to the hospital. By the time they arrived, Mahmoud had sadly passed away. Omar was also badly injured. So his father said, "The situation in Tays is catastrophic for children. I'm always worried about them, and we escort them to and from the school every day. When I realized I lost one of my sons and the other got severely injured, I knew that I couldn't afford the surgery and I was feeling totally broken. When I heard that Save the Children would help us with the medical expenses, I felt a bit better." So our team in Yemen helped Omar and his family through this difficult time. So we covered his medical treatment, including his medicine and any follow-up appointments. And he's also been receiving psychological support to help him cope with his experiences, which includes a kit with some toys and storybooks. The family were also given cash transfers so that they were able to spend this on what they needed most. So kits for washing to stave off diseases and shelter materials to help them protect them from the elements. So our teams, in partnership with both local and national organisations, are helping children like Omar through the conflict to stay safe and get the medical care when they're injured and recover from the psychological impact of what they've been through. And I also wanted to share a story about one of our volunteers in Yemen. So this is Murabak, who volunteers for Save the Children. And when the war started in 2015, he had just started studying economics and politics at university, and his dream was to become a prime minister. Unfortunately, as the unrest escalated, the university was forced to close. So he says, "I felt so disappointed and it wasn't safe staying in Sana'a anymore, so I went back to my hometown. Since then, the ongoing conflict has had a devastating impact on his life. Two of his brothers were killed and he lost an eye and one of his legs during the explosion in Tays. Talking about losing his leg, he said, "All of my dreams fell apart. I would face many other obstacles in my daily life. I was trying to help my family and others, and now I'm the one that needed help." So despite facing many setbacks and challenges, he never gave up, and his determination to create a better world for Yemeni children inspired him to volunteer with Save the Children. So he is now one of our case managers and a psychosocial support volunteer. And he's also continuing his studies, which is great. So he said, "I believe in humanitarian work. I believe in what we do at Save the Children. Seeing a positive impact on children makes me happy. It makes me forget what I have suffered. Helping children makes me see and walk again." So yeah, I just wanted to share a bit of information about what your support will do and how it will help the children and families in Yemen. So firstly, keeping children safe. So we provide potentially life-saving one-to-one support with children to help them deal with the shock of the events that they're experiencing. So we've been providing hearing aids for children with disabilities and covered costs of medical treatment and transport for children who have been injured in the conflict. So it's really important just to let children be children. So we've been delivering play kits and knitting materials to our child-friendly spaces. And we've started running a healing and education through art programme. You'll also keep children learning. So our teams in Yemen have been working really hard to help children return to school or continue learning from home. We've been repairing schools, supplying desks, whiteboards, fire extinguishers, as well as hygiene and cleaning materials to make sure that children can return to school safely. Supporting children to get enough to eat. So we've helped families with food vouchers, unconditional cash vouchers and cash for work schemes, and also providing families with food baskets, and helping women and young adults start their own businesses as well to create sustainable sources of income. We've been helping children stay healthy, so we've been responding to outbreaks like dengue fever and malaria and cholera, particularly throughout the flooding season. And we've been helping the most vulnerable people, including new arrivals at temporary shelters and people with disabilities, with things like hygiene kits and soap. We've also been upgrading water supplies and washing facilities, and trucking in water where necessary. And then finally, it will help families through the pandemic. So our team in Yemen have been responding to the second wave of COVID, providing oxygen stations, PPE and other supports. We've also given out COVID protection kits to the elderly and to people with disabilities, and have been broadcasting hygiene awareness messages on the radio. So as of the 6th of July, there are 6,929 confirmed cases and 1,362 deaths. We know that these figures aren't at all accurate, and available data suggests that there's a much higher death rate than in many other countries. And there's a really worrying number of deaths among younger men, particularly between the ages of 40 and 60. So there's been a lack of testing and a lack of, a spread of similar diseases like dengue fever, which has made it really difficult for caseworkers to identify COVID cases, and health facilities are having to turn people away because there's a lack of PPE and critical medical equipment to treat COVID-19. And also, according to our teams on the ground, things like the price of disposable face masks has increased by 30-fold across the country. So this is a video from around our COVID appeal in Yemen. So this was from last year, but yeah, it just gives you a sort of idea of what the situation's been like in Yemen.
People here are suffering. No clean water, no electricity. This health facility actually for about 3 months have no general electricity. People here suffer.
So yeah, we've obviously been responding to the coronavirus in Yemen, and we've been doing all we can to keep children alive, healthy and learning. So we've distributed PPE to 113 health facilities across Yemen, and trained 440 health workers and 120 community volunteers from 140 health facilities. We've also reached communities with COVID awareness and messaging through the distribution of printed messages and radio broadcasts. So this is really important. I mean, I get notifications on my phone every single day from BBC News about the changing guidelines and latest research. So it's really important to prevent the spread of misinformation. So right now, the situation in Yemen is still really, really critical, and our priorities in the coming months are firstly responding to emergency. So it's really important that we've got funds available so that we're able to respond to new disease outbreaks, flooding, and increasing numbers of people on the move, working together with our partner organisations. Tackling malnutrition and the hunger crisis that I mentioned, this is another huge priority for us. There are more than 16 million people in Yemen who are skipping meals nearly every day, with the number of people facing famine-like conditions increasing. So our work to provide food and cash for families and prevent and treat malnutrition is going to be more important than ever in the coming months. COVID-19 cases are still rising, and those reports that health facilities are overwhelmed. So we have a preparedness and response plan in place to help families protect themselves over the coming months, and we're working with key health partners and the government to support the vaccination campaign as well. And helping children to stay safe. So we need to make sure that we can continue to run our child protection programme and offer one-to-one support to children impacted by the conflict in the face of any funding gaps. So I also wanted to mention the impact that the aid cuts are having. So it appears that 260,000 Yemeni people are likely to have their UK support removed. So Yemen is just one of the real world consequences of the decision to abandon the 0.7% commitment. So finally, I just wanted to share a few cost examples so that you can see exactly how the funds that you raise will help. So £11 could provide a child with a school in a bag kit to make sure that they don't miss out on their education. £33 could pay for enough water purification tablets for a family for a month. £52 could provide a displaced family with basic food commodities for a whole month. And £164 could pay for the treatment of one child with severe acute malnutrition. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone who has dialed in or is watching and is interested in taking part. With your support, working together with communities and with partners, we can make sure that children in Yemen have the life-saving access to healthcare, food, and education and shelter that they deserve. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll hand back over to you, Rosemary.
Right, thank you so much for that, Alicia. I mean, it's incredible, heartbreaking, and sort of, just really, really tough, isn't it? So having to manage all of that. So, but yeah, so what we can do, we need to try and do something now to try and make a difference. So I really appreciate the people that are on this session, and obviously we will send the link out to others as well. So what we need to be doing now, why can't I share? I need to share my advanced sharing options. Sorry, where's my share my slides? Can't find it. I'm used to working in Cisco WebEx more. Start video, chat. So share my screen. Ah, here we are. There it is. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've just done just a few slides to talk about what we're going to try and do in August, and really appreciate the people that have come on this session and then spread the word, and obviously we will carry on doing some marketing around it. So we're thrilled that PA Life are joining us in this partnership and taking advantage of all the amazing people in the EA and PA profession that could potentially get involved and make a difference and do some fundraising for this, this tragic situation in Yemen. So this is the challenge, and I've got a bit more detail coming up on the next slides. So we want to raise money and awareness because, as Alicia said, this is the world's worst humanitarian crisis. So what does the challenge involve? It's about getting together a team, and in your team and in your group of people, it can be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 10 people, whatever you want. But if you can raise £1,000 in a month in your team, by running, walking, cycling, in other words, clocking up your miles and your steps and getting sponsorship for it, then we could potentially, between us all, get teams together and raise a minimum of £10,000, which would be absolutely fantastic. So let me explain to you on this next slide exactly what it means. So the race to Yemen, it actually is 4,593 miles to get to Yemen from London. So, you know, don't have to get there all the way, but, you know, with the accumulation of everybody's steps and movement, you know, who knows what we could do. And it will run from the 1st of August to the 31st of August. And so what you do, as I said, you get a team together. That could be some of your colleagues at work. It could be friends, it could be family, it could be your children. And each team raise £1,000. And as I said, track your steps, your miles, your running, your walking, dancing, swimming, cycling, tennis, golf, any activity that involves movement. And you want to keep track every day and every week of what you're doing. And of course, with phones and everything, that's obviously really easy to do. And then your team sets up its own Just Giving page, and you let us know at Global PA that you're taking part. And then you register your team on our Just Giving page, which Molly has set up for us. So we can send you the link to that, and also that flyer, which was on the previous slide. And then each Friday, a sort of, you know, the team leader gets all the steps and miles and activity from each of the team members, and they record it. And they put that activity on the Just Giving page. So we can see the sort of the fundraising clock going up on your pages, which are then also connected to our Just Giving page. And of course, we would keep in regular weekly contact with the teams and see how you're all doing, give you support and advice. So as I said, the goal is to raise £10,000 in August, which, you know, from what Alicia was saying there, that could make a huge difference for school bags, to treating children with malnutrition, and, you know, all the other things that would make a difference, and purified water as well. So I really appreciate you joining this webinar. Please spread the word. You know, we will be doing regular mail outs about it as well. So together we can make a difference. And I know we've all had a tough time here as well, but when you see what's going on there, you know, it's pretty tough there too. And, you know, speak to your companies about supporting this initiative. You know, could potentially get lots of teams within your organizations. I mean, who knows what you could do with this? I mean, £10,000 is the minimum, but who knows how much bigger and further, you know, we could go. So, you know, the difference that we make will help them get food and medicine and education so that they can go on to fulfill their potential. So we really appreciate you listening to this webinar. And, you know, it's a big thank you from me at Global PA, from Lisa at PA Life magazine, and also, of course, from Alicia at Save the Children. So has anyone got any questions they would like to ask?
Would we be able to get copies of Alicia's slides as well as yourself?
I don't know, I have to ask Alicia.
I probably won't be able to send the slides over, but I can send over a lot of the information that's in the slides.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Chelsea. Has anyone else got anything they'd like to ask? No? Okay. All right then. Well, we'll finish the session, and you know, we'll, as I said, we'll be in contact and do some mailings. And if you have any questions, just email us at Global PA. Okay. Well, lovely to see you all on a Friday.
Thanks, Rosemary. Have a good weekend.
Yes, thank you. All right then.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining.
Yes, thank you for joining. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Someone's just joined, actually. Let me just see who that is. Oh, Christine. Christine, hi. You've just joined us, and we've just finished, actually, but there there will be a recording of it. So we'll send that out to you. And, you know, please feel free to email us at Global PA if you want to know more.
Thank you. Sorry, I was trying to get in. I kept getting the message that I'd be let in. I don't know if I was in the waiting room or.
Oh, sorry.
Joined a few times with the link and it just kept saying the host will let you in.
Oh, I didn't.
I've sort of gone away and come back.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't get an alert saying that anyone was waiting.
Yeah, no, I had the screen a couple of times, but that's absolutely fine. Thank you so much. I'll definitely go and check out the recording. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. All right. Okay, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. See you soon. Thanks, Molly.